Well, hi guys, hello. Hope you're doing fine. Today we're going to talk about the handsome devil, Lucifer, a Netflix series, Lucifer Morning Star. The devil himself has tired of hell and takes a vacation in Los Angeles. His vacation has already lasted 5 years when the show begins. This is a rare show that embraces religion and the struggles of fate. One part melodrama about a charming, oversexed, devilishly handsome playboy, and one part exploration of the dichotomy between fate and reason told through the lens of a family drama and a love story. The police procedural piece is weak, even sloppy. For example, in an early episode, Detective Chloe Decker cross contaminates evidence by examining roughly a dozen pieces of evidence at the episode's murder scene. Decker, the show's female lead, then scrolls through the victim's cell phone instead of turning it over to the Cybele unit, all while wearing, guess what, the same gloves. Yes. Lucifer worked with Detective Decker as a civilian consultant isn't enough to raise the quality of the police procedural aspect of the show. Even the oversexed handsome playboy component becomes tiresome after a while. Admittedly, I quickly rebound from that. What keeps me going back for more is the layered exploration of fate and reason within the context of dysfunctional family dynamics. After thousands of years spent punishing souls, Lucifer left hell and reinvented himself as an LA nightclub owner. He will tell anyone who will listen that he is not the devil. Rather, he punishes evil. It is an existence that Lucifer didn't seek and frankly loathes. He loathes himself for his hellish work, God for casting him out of heaven to do it, and what humans think of him because of it. The early seasons are rooted in a type of theology of omniscience, with God as an all knowing, all controlling, distant creator makes all of the decisions, leaving everyone else to guess as to God's will. Lucifer believes that he was banished to hell because God was punishing him. He doesn't know and aches to understand the reasons for his punishment. The show illuminates early on that God cast Lucifer out of heaven because he was the only angel strong enough and capable enough to take on the thankless task of punishing the souls condemned to hell. But Lucifer can't or won't see that. His myopic viewpoint only allows him to see that he was the one cast out of the Silver City, while his angelic siblings were allowed to stay. This is the foundation of the tension Lucifer has with his brother Emenandel, God's most deceitful angelic son. Amenangel's his name is hard to pronounce. Presence is in Los Angeles is a persistent reminder to Lucifer of the difference in their positions. This, coupled with Amenandel constantly coercing Lucifer to return to his post, gives way to an existential crisis that leads the devil to therapy. In this therapy scenes, really this is where the show really blossoms. Lucifer explores his feelings toward his father, his brother Decker, and in season 2, his mother. In the first season, we see Lucifer struggle as a son who only wants his father's approval. His desire for simple communication and not receiving it creates massive insecurity. Drinking and sex are the key coping mechanisms to use to compensate. Lucifer's fractured relationship with God leaves him despondent. It's a feeling to which many people can relate. However, unlike humans, Lucifer doesn't just believe God exists, he knows it. Consequently, the one-sided relationship pains him in a way that doesn't resonate with humans, who similarly seek communication with God. This element of the show deepens in season 2 with the introduction of Ella, a forensic scientist at the police department. She's a woman of deep faith, one who understands that even her moments of doubt are crucial to her. Catholicism, because of faith, she believes that which she does not know, yet she struggles in her belief far less than Lucifer and Menandel, who believes precisely because they know. All three desire, even yearn to tangibly experience the presence in their lives. It reacts differently when it doesn't happen. Ella continues in her belief that is strengthened by doubt. Amenendel, even the dutiful son, persists in his effort to do God's will, while struggling to admit to himself that he is not sure that is, and Lucifer finds new ways to engage in the same violent rebellion. One reason my weariness of the charming playboy stick doesn't last is because just when I began to find it tiresome, there is a pivot that regains my attention. For instance, sex is the currently Lucifer initially uses to pay for his therapy session with Dr. Linda Martin. This clear gross grasp of ethical judgment on her part is mitigated by the fact that Lucifer uses his powers to manipulate her and spark a desire for him. However, she is not so befuddled that she can't see what is obvious to everyone, except the devil himself. Lucifer is in love. Late in season 1, Linda sees Lucifer and Chloe interacting and gains insight into him that she could not have seen in therapy alone. She immediately halts their sexual relationship in favor of an exclusively therapeutic one. It's an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It's one thing to regularly have sex with a man knowing that both of you are in it for a bit of fun. It's quite another to regularly have sex with a man knowing he's in love with another woman. Being in love requires vulnerability, usually that manifests emotionally in letting someone see a side of us that we typically protect, even conceal. Embracing that vulnerability comes with great risk. For Lucifer, the emotional risk has physical consequences. As an angel, Lucifer is immortal, yet when he is in close physical proximity to Chloe, he is susceptible to the dangers of the mortal world. Thus, he is constantly faced with the choice of continuing to protect himself or be around the one person who makes him want to be better. By season 5, the show has transitioned to more of theology of self-actualization, where with help from Martin Decker and Emanuel, Lucifer realizes the control he has over his own life. It is abundantly clear by this point that Lucifer and Detective Decker know they are in love with each other. Even with this confidence, he can't bring himself to be vulnerable enough to say the words. That metaphor deserves an essay for its own. At its core, Lucifer is a show that manages to do something rare while reaching a familiar path. It's a show about A wayward son desperate to understand and be understood by his father. And it's about a man who can't admit to himself that he is in love because doing so requires a level of emotional and physical vulnerability that he is not equipped to embrace. All of that happens against a rarely seen backdrop of religion and faith. According to Pew Research Center, 98% of Americans believe in God to some degree. Yet, religious belief is something we secretly see depicted in popular media. This show tells us that issues of faith and religion can be portrayed without being preachy, and in fact can be insightful and playful with a bit of debaucherous fun. Lucifer is never afraid to express his desires. He embraces his dark side and shows it to the world, which is why he is so attractive and charismatic. We all want to be less inhibited like Lucifer, to not be held back by the rules enforced upon us. How often do we ourselves want to exact vengeance on those that have wronged us? How often do we want to satisfy our forbidden bodily desires? How often do we wish that we can just let loose and unleash chaos and do whatever we want? The more rules that are in place, the more we want to break them. We always want to push the boundaries, to test our limits, to see how much the universe is willing to tolerate. We all have dark, unsatisfied urges and desires. We all have a dark side. The anti-hero allows us to fulfill those dark desires vicariously. Why do you think it's so hard to not hold a grudge? Why do you think it's so hard to stay a virgin, for example? So, guys, that was pretty much everything today about Lucifer. I hope you see it, you give it a chance, and tell me about what you find. And let's determine with this sentence what is your desire. It's favorite sentence. Bye. See you next video.